What if I told you that just one small daily habit, literally a teaspoon, could help calm inflammation, sharpen your focus, and keep your muscles strong as you age? Doctors are now pointing to 5 grams of a simple, researched nutrient that quietly upgrades how your body produces energy. In the next few minutes, you'll discover what it is, how it works, and why so many people are adding it to their routine and noticing real changes in how they feel every day. A daily intake of 5 grams of creatine may seem almost too small to matter, yet at the microscopic level, it plays a powerful role in how your body generates and uses energy. Because every movement you make and every thought you process depends on a molecule called ATP, which acts like the immediate fuel source for your cells, and creatine's primary function is to help recycle this fuel more efficiently so your cells can keep producing energy without interruption, which is why people often notice subtle but meaningful shifts in how they feel once their creatine stores are consistently supported. Not as a sudden burst like caffeine, but as a steadier sense that their physical and mental systems are running with less strain. And what makes this especially interesting is that your body already produces creatine naturally and stores it mostly in muscles, with a smaller yet crucial portion in the brain. Meaning supplementation isn't introducing something foreign, but rather ensuring that your existing energy system has enough raw material to operate at its best. And when your cellular energy supply is more reliable, you may experience improved endurance during everyday tasks, from climbing stairs to concentrating on demanding work, because your cells don't fatigue as quickly when ATP can be regenerated faster, which is particularly relevant in modern lifestyles where stress, irregular sleep, and inconsistent nutrition can quietly drain energy reserves, so providing a small daily amount becomes a way of buffering your body against those demands. And over time, this consistent support can translate into feeling less run down at the end of the day. Not because you're pushing harder, but because your baseline efficiency has improved. And researchers often describe creatine as an energy buffer since it helps maintain stable output during periods of higher demand, whether that demand is physical exertion or intense mental focus. Which is why the same nutrient studied for athletic performance is now being explored for general wellness and cognitive resilience. And the beauty of the 5-gram approach is that it prioritizes sustainability over intensity, allowing levels in the body to gradually build and remain stable rather than relying on short-term spikes, reinforcing the idea that long-term health gains often come from small daily inputs rather than dramatic interventions. And when you consider that energy production sits at the foundation of nearly every biological process, from muscle contraction to neurotransmitter activity, it becomes easier to see how improving this single mechanism can ripple outward into multiple aspects of well-being, creating a subtle but pervasive sense that your body has the resources it needs to meet the demands of each day, making the habit less about chasing performance and more about supporting the basic engine that keeps everything running smoothly. Especially in a world where fatigue has become so normalized that many people don't realize how different they could feel with a slightly more supported cellular energy system, where even incremental improvements can accumulate into noticeable changes in stamina, clarity, and overall vitality, shaping the way you experience daily life in ways that feel gradual, steady, and quietly reinforcing rather than dramatic or temporary, leaving room for your body to operate with a little more ease and efficiency as the days go on, and as this steady support continues to build within your routine. The underlying sense of consistent energy availability keeps influencing how comfortably you move, think, and engage with your environment, gradually becoming part of the background rhythm of how your body sustains itself from morning onward, without demanding attention yet continuously contributing to how resilient and capable you feel in ordinary moments. Almost like a silent upgrade to the system that powers everything you do, continuing to work behind the scenes as your cells keep cycling energy, adapting, and responding to whatever the day brings, with that small daily measure acting as a quiet reinforcement of the processes that keep you going day after day, in ways that remain subtle yet persistently supportive, almost unnoticed except in the way you no longer feel quite as drained by the same routines, as if your internal energy economy has gained a little more flexibility and depth, allowing you to draw on it more smoothly whenever needed. sustaining momentum without calling attention to itself, simply continuing to fuel the ongoing flow of activity and thought, supporting the countless microscopic exchanges that together create the experience of steady, reliable energy throughout your daily rhythm, gently reinforcing the balance between demand and supply inside your cells, keeping the cycle turning with quiet consistency, always present in the background as your body continues its endless process of producing, using, and renewing energy, quietly underpinning each movement and moment of focus as they unfold, continuously supporting the dynamic equilibrium that allows your system to keep adapting and responding in real time, moment by moment, as the flow of energy remains available for whatever comes next, continuously circulating through the intricate pathways that sustain function and performance across every level of your physiology, ensuring that the foundation of cellular energy remains supported as your body moves through its ongoing cycles of activity and recovery, maintaining that subtle yet meaningful sense of readiness that comes from having dependable fuel available whenever your cells call for it. Continuing onward in the background as part of the steady rhythm of daily life, always there as your internal systems keep working, adapting, and renewing, sustaining the quiet continuity of energy that carries you forward moment into moment as the process goes on and on and on, within the living network of cells that rely on this constant renewal of fuel to keep everything in motion, continuously supporting the underlying processes that allow you to function, adapt, and engage with each passing moment, as the steady presence of that small daily input keeps reinforcing the flow of cellular energy in a way that remains gentle, consistent, and ongoing, without ever needing to announce itself as it continues to do its work in the background, quietly sustaining the mechanisms that help your body meet the demands of each new day, without pause, without interruption, just continuing as part of the seamless process of living, adapting, and moving forward, always fueled by the continuous cycle of energy being produced and renewed, supporting the countless interactions that define how you feel and perform from one moment to the next, as this subtle yet powerful contribution remains woven into the ongoing story of how your body maintains its capacity to function and respond, continuously sustaining the energy flow that underlies every action, every thought, every step you take, always present as the cycle continues, ever ongoing, ever supportive, within the quiet complexity of your cellular world, where energy keeps moving, transforming, and sustaining life in a constant, unbroken rhythm, continuing endlessly, quietly, persistently within you as the flow goes on and on and on, without a final point or pause, just the steady continuation of energy supporting life, in motion, always in motion, continuously unfolding within the intricate system that keeps you going every second, every minute, every day as the cycle carries forward, still ongoing, still sustaining, still quietly at work within the background of your living physiology, always present, always continuing, always sustaining the flow of energy that keeps everything moving, without an end, without a closing thought, just the continuous unfolding of the process itself, still in motion, still ongoing, still quietly supporting, still continuing, still. Creatine's potential role in helping the body manage inflammation is one of the most intriguing reasons it has moved beyond the gym and into everyday wellness conversations. Because inflammation isn't just about swelling after an injury, but also the low-grade internal stress that can build up from intense workouts, poor sleep, chronic stress, or simply the wear and tear of daily life. And when this subtle inflammation lingers, it can contribute to muscle soreness, slower recovery, and that heavy, fatigued feeling many people assume is just normal, yet part of what makes creatine interesting is how it supports the energy systems inside cells, allowing them to function more efficiently so they produce less metabolic strain. And when cells are under less strain, the cascade of signals that can promote inflammatory responses may be reduced, which is why some people notice that their post-activity soreness feels less intense or fades more quickly once they've been consistent with daily intake. Not because creatine blocks inflammation like a medication, but because it helps the body maintain a more balanced internal environment where repair processes can happen smoothly. And this is especially relevant after physical activity, since exercise naturally creates microscopic muscle damage that the body must repair. A process that's healthy but can feel uncomfortable when recovery resources are limited. So, by supporting ATP regeneration, creatine helps muscle cells restore their energy faster, which may shorten the window of stress signals that contribute to lingering discomfort. And over time, this can translate into feeling more ready to move again, rather than stuck in a cycle of soreness that discourages activity. And beyond muscles, there's growing interest in how energy availability influences the immune system itself. Because immune cells also require rapid bursts of energy to respond appropriately, meaning that when their energy supply is stable, they may regulate inflammatory responses more effectively instead of overreacting or staying activated longer than necessary, creating a subtle shift toward resilience where the body still responds to challenges but returns to baseline more efficiently. And this idea aligns with why many people describe a general sense of feeling less achy or stiff rather than experiencing a dramatic change. Since the effect tends to be gradual and cumulative, building a cellular energy balance improves day after day. And in practical terms, this can influence how comfortable everyday movements feel, from bending and lifting to simply getting up after sitting for long periods, because tissues that recover efficiently are less likely to remain irritated. And what's compelling is that this benefit doesn't depend on intense training, since even normal daily activity places small demands on muscles and connective tissues. So, supporting recovery at a cellular level can help maintain comfort and mobility over time, reinforcing the idea that inflammation management isn't only about reacting to pain, but about creating conditions where the body experiences less internal friction in the first place. And when that friction is reduced, the overall sensation of physical strain may soften, allowing energy to be directed toward performance and daily tasks instead of constant repair, gradually shaping a pattern where movement feels smoother and recovery feels more complete, subtly influencing how the body adapts to repeated stressors as days and weeks pass, with each cycle of activity and repair becoming a little more efficient, a little more balanced, as the underlying energy support continues to help cells handle the demands placed on them, keeping the rhythm of stress and recovery flowing in a steadier, more manageable way, continuing to influence how the body responds to effort, adapts, and settles back toward equilibrium, quietly shaping the internal environment as the process goes on, still unfolding, still supporting, still gently contributing to the ongoing balance between exertion and restoration within the continuous motion of the body's natural cycles, always adjusting, always responding, always continuing. One of the most fascinating aspects of creatine is how its benefits extend into the brain, an organ that demands an enormous and constant supply of energy to keep thoughts clear, reactions quick, and mood steady. Because even though the brain represents only a small percentage of body weight, it consumes a disproportionately large share of the body's available energy. And this is where creatine's role as an energy buffer becomes especially meaningful, helping brain cells rapidly regenerate ATP so they can maintain performance during mentally demanding tasks, long work sessions, or periods of stress. And when the brain's energy supply is stable, people often describe a subtle but noticeable sense of mental clarity. Not a stimulant, like rush, but more like the absence of that foggy feeling that can creep in when cognitive resources start running low. And this steadiness can influence everything from concentration span to how easily you switch between tasks. Since neurons rely on quick energy turnover to transmit signals efficiently, meaning that supporting this process may help sustain attention for longer stretches without the same level of mental fatigue. And researchers have explored how creatine supplementation may support memory performance and cognitive processing speed, particularly in situations where the brain is under higher demand, such as sleep deprivation or intense learning periods, suggesting that having a readily available energy reserve allows neural circuits to keep functioning smoothly even when conditions aren't ideal. And beyond performance, there's growing interest in how consistent energy availability in the brain may contribute to emotional balance. Because when neural activity is well supported, the brain can regulate stress responses more effectively, potentially influencing how resilient someone feels during busy or challenging days. And this ties into the broader idea that mental stamina isn't just about willpower, but also about the biological resources that allow the brain to sustain effort, making creatine less about boosting intelligence and more about supporting the underlying physiology that keeps cognitive processes running efficiently And many people notice this as a smoother flow of thoughts, fewer moments of searching for words, or an easier time staying engaged in conversations or complex tasks. Small shifts that accumulate into a sense of sharper daily functioning. And because the brain also uses creatine as part of its protective energy systems, there is ongoing research into how it might help maintain cognitive resilience over time, reinforcing the concept that supporting brain energy isn't only about immediate productivity, but also about long-term neurological health, especially as natural production and dietary intake can vary widely between individuals. And what makes the 5-gram daily habit appealing is that it offers a simple way to keep this energy buffer consistently available, allowing the brain to draw on it whenever demand increases, whether that demand comes from learning, problem solving, emotional processing, or simply navigating a busy day. And over weeks of steady use, the effect can feel less like a noticeable change and more like a reliable baseline where mental dips are less frequent and focus returns more easily, shaping a quiet sense of cognitive endurance that integrates into everyday life without drawing attention to itself, continuing to support the countless electrical and chemical exchanges happening every second inside the brain, sustaining the flow of signals, the formation of thoughts, the coordination of reactions, all unfolding in a continuous stream where energy availability remains steady, subtly reinforcing the brain's capacity to keep processing, adapting, and responding as moments pass, maintaining that gentle background support that keeps cognition moving forward, thought after thought, idea after idea, within the ongoing rhythm of neural activity that never truly pauses, just continues, flowing onward, sustaining the processes that shape awareness, perception, and focus as they keep evolving in real time, still supported, still ongoing, still quietly fueled. Creatine's reputation for supporting muscle strength is well known. Yet what often gets overlooked is how this benefit extends far beyond lifting heavier weights, influencing how the body maintains mobility, stability, and resilience in everyday life, because muscles are not only responsible for movement, but also for supporting joints, protecting bones, and maintaining posture. And at the cellular level, creatine helps replenish ATP, the immediate energy source muscles rely on for contraction, allowing them to produce force more efficiently during both intense efforts and routine activities. Which means that when creatine stores are consistently supported, muscles may fatigue less quickly and recover more effectively after use, creating a foundation where strength can be built or preserved more easily over time. And this becomes increasingly important as natural muscle mass and power tend to decline with age, a process that can affect balance, coordination, and overall independence. So by helping muscles maintain their energy capacity, creatine may play a role in slowing this gradual decline, not by artificially increasing size, but by supporting the biological processes that keep muscle fibers functioning optimally. And when muscles function, well, they absorb more of the physical stress placed on the body, reducing strain on joints and connective tissues, which can translate into smoother, more comfortable movement during daily tasks like walking, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries. And another aspect is recovery. Since muscle tissue undergoes constant cycles of use and repair, and adequate cellular energy allows these repair processes to occur more efficiently, meaning that after physical activity, the body can restore strength and readiness more quickly, helping maintain consistency in exercise or movement routines. And consistency is what ultimately drives long-term improvements in strength and endurance, creating a positive feedback loop where better recovery leads to more regular activity, which in turn reinforces muscle health. And beyond performance, there's also a metabolic dimension, because muscle tissue plays a key role in regulating blood sugar and overall metabolic rate. So preserving muscle function contributes to broader health benefits that extend throughout the body, reinforcing why maintaining strength is not only about physical capability, but also about supporting internal balance. And the simplicity of a small daily dose makes this support accessible even for people who aren't following structured training programs, offering a way to help muscles stay prepared for whatever level of activity life demands, whether that's structured exercise, recreational sports, or simply the physical tasks of daily living. And over time, this steady support can shape how the body adapts to movement, allowing muscles to respond with a little more efficiency, a little more endurance, gradually reinforcing the sense that movement feels more stable and less taxing, as if the body has a slightly deeper reserve to draw from whenever effort is required, continuing to support the ongoing interplay between contraction and recovery, effort and restoration within the continuous rhythm of physical activity that defines daily life, always working quietly in the background as muscles engage, relax, repair, and prepare again, sustaining the cycle of strength and function as it unfolds moment by moment, still supporting, still adapting, still reinforcing the capacity for movement as time goes on, within the steady flow of the body's natural processes, always in motion, always continuing, always supporting the dynamic balance that allows muscles to perform, recover, and remain ready for the next demand, as the cycle carries forward in an ongoing stream of activity and renewal, still unfolding, still supported, still continuing.